Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Power Series with yours truly, Samuel Ladrani. It's been a while since we did something. I think I missed about 2 or 3 Sundays, but hey, I almost missed today. But I was like, I got to give my people something. So, welcome to the show. If this is your first time, this is a show where we demystify everything Power Platform. We learn some new things, tips, and tricks, and how to make it interesting for all of us. Today's episode, I know the last episode we talked mostly about building an automation, a desktop Power Automate desktop flow, and we're supposed to do a part two of that to see how to set up your workstation or VM to be able to run flows. But I'm going to skip that in today's episode. Today is largely ask me any question, anything you want to know about the Power Platform, and then I'll be walking through some of the Microsoft Power Platform 2024 Release Wave 2, things to expect, things in preview, and then we'll jump into some of the new stuff, which is the new components, new buttons with some icons, some interesting stuff. We'll talk about some tips and tricks on how to do that. If this sounds like something of interest to you, stick and stay. When we come back from our montage, we're going to get right into it. Stick with me. Awesome. Welcome to the show. Welcome. If this is your first time, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, like it, subscribe, share so that, all your friends can join that. That's the only way we can grow the channel, share the content, and also how, give us the encouragement to provide or give you more content. So if you're new to it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can connect with me on any of my social media channels, there on X, LinkedIn, GitHub, Twitch, Facebook, all that with the same, single contact. So, just like I said earlier today, we're going to be looking at some of the new things, release waves for Microsoft Power Platform Wave 2. I will play a video that Microsoft released, for the Wave 2, and then we will talk through the video for the various waves. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome. Yeah, late but never. I was contemplating drinking some beer, but I think I'll probably do this after the show. So I am to do that. So, welcome to the show. So I'm going to go ahead and where is that file? I'm going to play. So I'm going to play, sorry about that. I'm going to play a video from Microsoft. Bear with me, it's about 7 minutes. But then it's all part of the show. We try to make it interesting and exciting for everyone. So what I would do is, let's see this. Okay, awesome. So I'll play the video. And then after the video, we can discuss and talk about the release waves. And then I would show you a few things on the Power Platform, the changes that have come, and then we can talk through it. And during that, and don't forget that today is also Ask Me Anything. So you can drop your questions in the comment section. I will look at it, share it, and then we can talk about it. Don't be a stranger if you're joining us. Just, give us a shout out. Let's know where you're watching us from. We'll just give you a hi or something like that. So let's go to the desk, and let me activate the audio so that you can hear the audio coming from that. So let's watch this video, and then we'll come back and discuss that.
Fabricam, a prominent media and entertainment company, is revolutionizing its operations by allowing Microsoft Power Platform products to drive automation and innovation across various departments. Let's see how some of the new features in the 2024 release wave for Power Platform can help Fabricam unlock new levels of efficiency and productivity, demonstrating the transformative impact of Power Platform in driving business success. First, Fabricam needs to create an application to manage stock of products in their concessions. The best way to start is by asking Copilot, I want an application to manage the stock of beverages and food in the concessions in the different theaters in the country. Very quickly, Copilot comes back with a data model and an entity relationship diagram. This makes it so easy to understand the tables in the model and how they're connected. Everything looks good, so now let's create the solution. Copilot will generate an application with multiple screens, a model app for data management, and a Copilot grounded on their documentation and on the data that we just created. Let's now run the app. The Copilot's there, ready to help. The app needs to manage all the concession data to find orders. We can type in natural language and quickly get a filter that matches what we're looking for filling up new orders. To do that, the brand new Form Predict capabilities make adding the data easier than ever by predicting the most common fields. So no typing required, save time in every interaction. Let's fast forward a few weeks. Now, built into Maker Portal and Power Platform Admin Center are metrics tied to end user experiences and business efficiencies, like the time end users wait to interact with an app or page, and which flows spend more time than necessary to run. In addition to metrics, makers can take action on recommendations to improve the metrics. Your operational health in Power Platform matters the moment your business takes a dependency on the platform. Monitoring in Maker Portal makes it easier than ever to measure and improve it. Next step is to streamline the order change process, which is largely manual and involves several departments. Let's see how AI flows can help here. The AI flow is easily set up by providing instructions in everyday language and adding inputs and reference materials. Because it reasons over unstructured data and documents at runtime, it can examine each request, check it against the provisions of the customer agreement and the company's change order policies, and make a recommendation for rejection or acceptance. The AI flow can then start an approval with accounting that includes its recommendation and reasoning. Finally, it returns a result to a Cloudflow to make the changes in accordance with company policy. At any point, a reviewer can check the run history and view its step-by-step reasoning process. Change requests are now processed much faster for customers, and accounting team members are freed up to focus on more important work. The automation operations team wants to monitor the health of unattended automations using the Automation Center with its proactive recommendations. They receive a new Copilot recommendation to repair failing desktop flows. By cross-referencing this issue with a recent major upgrade to one of their business systems, the team discovers the upgrade led to the failure of certain UI selection points. Fortunately, Copilot is able to identify and suggest updated UI selectors based on the available elements on the screen. After reviewing and applying Copilot's suggestions, operations can be restored without downtime. Now let's look at optimizing business processes using AI simulations in Power Automate. Simulations enable businesses to test and validate process improvements before implementation. In this example, they see that invoice approvals are slowing down the billing process. They modify activities in the process map to set up scenarios and then run the simulation. By comparing scenario results and KPIs with their existing process, they see their changes will reduce approval time by 48%. Testing and refining processes with AI-powered simulations before making changes minimizes disruption to the team and ensures the most efficient process is implemented. Fabricam has been on this journey of redefining their customer experiences and bringing customers and partners into the fold of business processes. As part of this journey, they have launched new customer forums for all their customers to be able to communicate with each other. These forums are powered by generative AI capabilities to improve customer experience like GenAI search, as well as GenAI-powered thread summarization capabilities. They also come equipped with an autonomous copilot which moderates the forums and evaluates all content against the community guidelines. This has helped them reduce the workload for their community moderators by a large extent. Similarly, they've also launched a new partner portal where they can collaborate with Fabricam employees. This partner portal also comes equipped with a GenAI-powered data visualization, which allows partners to use natural language to visualize and gain insight from the list data, improving their productivity manifolds. This release also brings big improvements to website developers, enabling them to build complex websites with ease. Website developers who love GitHub Copilot are now able to invoke Power Pages capabilities right within their GitHub Copilot chat without ever losing the context. This integration enables seamless access to the pro developer Copilot skills of Power Pages through the GitHub Copilot chat. Similarly, website developers are now able to utilize Power Effects integration within Power Pages Design Studio to build websites quicker than ever. They can utilize the ability to define variables and hydrate them with data from various data sources to build out compelling dynamic web pages for their customers. Copilot Studio is relentlessly innovating and investing in new ways to empower customers to achieve more. And we're excited to announce a number of new features to help you build and customize copilots for your organization. Create autonomous copilots with advanced agent capabilities that can independently complete tasks and seamlessly automate long-running processes. These copilots utilize user inputs to reason over actions and leverage memory and knowledge to improve performance over time. Copilot makers can still maintain control of these agents by establishing guardrails and specific instructions that ensure these copilots behave and respond how they intend them to. You'll also be able to teach these agents, allowing makers to provide additional instructions which help teach the copilot how to better handle a scenario and enable copilots to interpret and execute effectively to achieve specific goals. Engage with copilots in Teams meetings as seamlessly as with any other attendee, benefiting from their advanced contextual understanding based on meeting and chat history. These copilots offer more consistent and personalized interactions, learning from each meeting to enhance future engagements. They're attuned to the content being shared on screen and the real-time discussions taking place, enabling them to contribute relevant insights and support. This awareness allows copilots to provide timely assistance and ensure a more integrated and effective collaboration experience during meetings. To learn more about the Power Platform 2024 Release Wave 2, we encourage you to review the entire release notes and try out the early access features for this release as they become available.
Awesome. As you can see, so that is the release wave 2 for the Microsoft Power Platform. So that was just an overview of the integration of all the updates that you're doing. But what I want us to take a look at now is the official documentation, because that's where, you know, all the information is coming from. And I like as much as possible to be very so you don't get anything wrong. We want to use official documentations to do that, so it doesn't seem like we're just throwing a few things. So we're going to go through the release wave for everything. We're going to go through that, and then once we'll go through, we'll look at it individually, and then we'll try to see those that are accessible now and those that are early preview and stuff like that. So let's get back to the desktop again. So this is the official page for the release wave phase 2, which was released a couple of days ago. So in here, a few things that you can, and yeah, this is something you can follow. So if you want to know what Microsoft is planning to release on the Power Platform, you can look at this as well, or you can look at the what we call the release planner. As you can see, it's here, building modding apps. They have understanding Canvas app functionality through code. So this is when it's going to be generally available. If you open it up, you can see all the, you know, also this is kind of like a cool tool where Microsoft makes it available for you to see. So if you're looking at modding apps, if you're looking at on the enterprise, if you're looking at Copilot, and so this is it. So visualize and work with complex data using Copilot. This should come up by August of this year. A lot of the things will be generally available by August of this year, so you're going to see them. So this is a tool you can use, the release planner. You can look at the release planner to give you insight on what you expect, you know, for the releases from the Power Platform. So here, a couple of things here in there for you, but that's no, we're going to focus on that today. We're going to go straight into the planner to see that. So the release wave, you know, covers all the tools in the Power Platform. And if you've been following Power Platform for some time now, you would appreciate and understand that it's made up of the Power Apps, Power Pages, Power Automate, the Copilot Studio. You know, there is Dataverse. Those are all add-on things, Power BI as well. Now, a couple of things that some of the changes that are coming up, right? First off, that something that I want us to take key note of is here. Let me change this and make it red so that we can all see this. Actually, you know what? Let me move it. I want to bring, there we go. Yeah. So I want to bring this in view so that we can see and understand that. So the first thing, which I mean, for me, it was anticipated because we saw all the move coming in, that Power BI and all the data integration stuff has moved to Microsoft Fabric. So if you don't know what Fabric is, Microsoft Fabric is now Microsoft de facto universal platform for everything data. So data, the ingestion, the processing, the extraction, the warehousing, everything data you want to do on the Microsoft ecosystem now is moved into Microsoft Fabrics. And Power BI has now, the Power BI and the data integration part has been moved into Fabric, right? It's still you can still say it's on the Power Platform, and I did that official distinction, but now the data integration side of that has moved into Microsoft Fabric. That's something that I'll be talking about on the Friday show. Once I start the episode on the Microsoft Fabric, we can talk a lot more about that, especially on data. So that's the first thing. So it says that with this transition, you can now view how Power BI will work to empower all levels of an organization to make confident decisions. Data integration, now Data Factory, will focus on broadening connectivity options and enrich its library of transformers, enable real-time data application for analytics and data lake. So I was doing this on the IoT show where I wanted to move upstream data. There's still something on licensing there, which I'm still trying to figure out. Fully, right? Just so you know, the first part is that Microsoft Power BI and the data integration has moved to Fabric. So that's the first thing you need to be aware of. Now, in terms of the Power Apps, right? So Power Apps will continue to be where it is. Power Pages, the same thing. Power Automate, Copilot, all these things are going to be in the same thing. Now, these are the key dates to take note of in the release cycle. So you need to know which ones are going to be generally available, those that are going to be still in preview for you to work on. So release plan is available July 16, which is what I mentioned. This is where you're going to learn of the release wave 2, right? Which is between October 2024 and March 2025. So this is the period for that release wave, and that's going to cut across Microsoft Power Platform, Dynamics 365, Microsoft Cloud for Industry. So the release that's coming in these places will cut across these sites, right? Then early access of a lot of the things will be available from July 29th. We have probably by next week, right? So by next week, early access will be available for a lot of the things in there, before general availability starts in October. Then the release plan in additional languages. So now it's in English, so other languages will be available. Then general availability for all the release plan and wave will be 1st October, right? So take these notes in mind. Now let's take a look at the early access features, right? So these are the early access features are how do you call it? These are features you can try out, immediately, right? These are things you can try, immediately and test out and make things go. So the early features here for Power Apps, so you see the way it's being split up. So they made it in such a way that you can clearly see. So this is the early accessible features for Power Apps. Now it's enabled for all users and it's enabled automatically, right? Early access July, like we said, 29 from next week, you're going to have access to that. General availability October, but these are this. So there's a new act on your data efficiently with a new grid feature. So the new grid feature actually allows you to do some kind of filtering and aggregation within the new grid component. High legacy app for admins, the option to do that. Selecting records, you're now faster, with a new lookup control. And you can actually use Copilot to filter and search data gallery. So now they are bringing in Copilot into the data gallery controls that you can filter in, internally. So now you can build applications that support that. We can actually go and look at these individually here. So they have the various, how do you call it? Actually, we can look at it in the same, but I can open different tabs to do that. So here, act on your data efficiently because feature availability is next week. Some of the things I don't have access yet, so I can only share, from my understanding. So these are saying some of the things that are coming in here. So grid control is going to have easy reordering, the sorting, the aggregation, and all that. That's going to happen in there. Let's look at the Power. Let's look at the Power Automate set of things. So for Power Automate, we're looking at creating Power Automate flows in Excel. Yes, so that's coming in. That's quite exciting to be able to create Power Automate flows in Excel, right? And they're trying to give a business value of that, and so you can explore that. Now, the other cool part is AI flows, right? So AI flows primarily is now saying, hey, we want to leverage AI to, based on your company data or the information it has, to be able to generate flows and even give you a more enhanced and efficient insight into how the flow is doing, and if there are issues for you to fix, to fix them. So technically, you'll be using generative AI to achieve processes in AI flows as well in Fusion on that. One of the key things also is in terms of, let me look at, I want to talk about, well, we talk Power Pages, yes. So Power Pages now, you can use, the Power FX. Power FX is in there, more enhancement, more functions available for you to leverage in there for Power Pages, right? And you can also use Copilot in there to help you to do that. For Copilot Studio, right? For Copilot Studio, a lot of the interesting things, we've seen this already, but there is a lot of investment in terms of how do you call it? New template, easier template, better integration. The voice interaction is getting very natural. They're working on that, even supporting IVR inside your Copilot as well. So there are a lot of exciting things, to look at. Some of the things that happened in wave 1, especially, was the new controls, which I'll share with you today to show you how you can do that. And then we'll touch on a few things before then. I'll share the resources for you to go make sure that you are exploring and looking at all the new stuff. Yeah, so we have a question here. Let's go see what the question is. There we go. So the question is, was Power Platform affected by CrowdStrike outage? Interesting enough, we didn't see any downtime on our Power Platform stuff. There was what I noticed was logging into my Microsoft, I think single sign-on at some point was giving issues, but I wouldn't say directly on Power Platform was affected by that. Some could have been, because it wasn't all the systems that Microsoft came out to say was at less than 1% of the systems were affected. And that was a bit scary for me, because if less than 1% affected and we had all these global, imagine even if it is 5% or even half of that. But some parts of the systems could happen, because don't forget that Power Platform is running on the cloud infrastructure, and there could be, some Windows systems running some of these infrastructure. So there could be, but personally, we didn't affect it. I didn't, like I said, apart from logging a few times, but I didn't see any crazy things. We had to check if any of our Dynamics, infrastructure was down, because there was some things in there, but it wasn't as as crazy as things. So funny enough, talking about CrowdStrike, so it primarily, there's a lot of questions asking, how was that? Infrastructure is run on Windows operating systems. All right, a lot of enterprise infrastructure is run on Windows operating system. So definitely that update, would have affected any system at that point that took that update and ran with it. All right, because it was an automatic update thing. I know that it's going to open up a lot of questions. It's going to open conversations about stuff like that. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome. So I know it's going to open up a lot of questions about, best practices for these things. How do we prevent these things from happening? I know there's a lot of questions that people are asking, didn't they do any testing to make sure it was okay before releasing it, generally for everyone? Even if on their side, if they didn't have that, on the Microsoft side, didn't they have a mechanism to check and make sure that, hey, all the updates these people are pushing to us are not breaking anything before we send it to them? We push it. So, Hey, Lipin, thanks for joining. So my assertion is that this happening is going to bring about a lot of policies and structural changes, right? Specifically for CrowdStrike's client, right? I'm sure they're going to put in. I won't be surprised if, you know, in the next couple of weeks, Microsoft putting new measures to make sure that any vendor that is responsible for pushing updates, they have a whole test site. Even though the vendor is like, yeah, they've checked everything is okay, they will still run their own kind of test before pushing it. I'm not saying this, I don't know. I'm not saying this doesn't exist, just as a disclaimer. I'm just saying that if that was a case, you know, could we have caught it, or the best way to move about it? But yeah, I don't think there was any infrastructural, you know, a lot of affection on directly on Power Platform, no, but probably underlying infrastructure. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question, Edwin. So yeah, so back to the desk. Yeah. So these are very interesting times, especially for the Power Platform. Is a good time to, especially with all the generative AI Copilot stuff in there. It's a good time to look at that. Okay, so let's see. Let's move away from the release. Actually, we can use this. So let me just bring this here. Let's go to, actually, you know what? Let me close this. Let me use my Firefox. Okay, so let's go. So first of all, I'm going to talk about, we'll take a look at Fabric briefly, what it is, and then I'll jump into Power Apps. We'll jump into, sorry, let me get this checked in. And yeah, like I said, don't forget, it is and ask me anything about Power Platform. If I don't know it, I'll reach out to the people who are more knowledgeable than I am to answer your questions for you. Else, yeah, let me know the questions you have. Let me know your challenges. Let me know your concerns. Let me know what you think, and then we'll try to, you know, do that for you. Okay, so let's go here. So let's go to Power Apps, and I would open Power Automate, and what else? Yeah, let's just do Power Apps, Power Automate. We can have pages as well, but I want to do more on the pages. Yeah, well, let's just open them. Okay, and then let's do app.fabric. Let's do app.fabric.microsoft.com. Okay, interesting. Pum 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 pum. Okay, so this is Microsoft Fabric. Question: Is there any Power App that help me build mobile application? Let's try to address this before. So Ellie Klim says, is there any Power App that can help me build mobile application? Well, that's Power Apps, right? So the Microsoft Power Platform is made up of Power Apps, Power Pages, Power Automate, Copilot Studio. Power BI was there, but now they've moved it to Microsoft Fabric. So if you want to build applications that run on mobile, enterprise application that's running on mobile and tablets, that's Power Apps. So you use Power Apps to do that. I hope that answers your question, Ellie Blim. Let's do Power Apps, right? Awesome. So this is it. As you can see, this is some of the constitutions of Power Microsoft Fabric. So you have the Power BI, Data Factory, Data Activator, and the industry solutions are kind of like an accelerator for predefined data solutions there. Real-time intelligence is what we're trying to use to get our IoT data real-time into it. You have Synapse Data Engineering, Synapse Data Science, Synapse Data Warehouse. Yeah, you can pretty much explore, you can explore a lot of things in here. Okay, you're welcome. Right, so a platform to move up. Yeah, you can use Power Apps to do that. So as you can see, they have all these, all these stuff here. So that's Microsoft Fabric. And now our Power BI is inside of Fabric. So if you go in here, this is your Power, this is your Power BI brought into Fabrics. So yeah, there we go. So we can close that. Power Pages, yeah, we'll have to use Edge. Don't worry about that. It should be fine. So I'm not worried about that. Okay, so this is Power Apps. All right. So as you can see, some of these things are already pretty there, but you have your Copilot here at the top. So you have your Copilot here. You can describe what you want, and then Copilot will create the necessary data structures, entity diagrams, and then, will help you to do that. This already exists in a couple of ways already. So now some of the things you would see when you're using it, and be very mindful, because some of the things are experimental, is you might find something here that says try the new data experience. And this allows you to go in there and try some of the new things that are coming up. It could be new buttons, new grid, and new stuff like that. So if you want to do that, go ahead and check this. Why not? So, but it clearly tells you, and that's something you should be mindful of. It says what? This feature is in preview and uses generative AI. So all the responsible AI stuff is at play here. Okay, so a couple of things here. So I tried to do a few things, but I'll just go ahead and let me go to my solutions. And do I have a Power Series? Yeah, there's a Power Series solution here. So solution is just logical organization of your Power Platform stuff. So flows, apps, all those things can be in that one solution. If you're confused about it, you can go check a lot of things out. So I can go ahead now and click on the top here. I just want to go in new and show you some of the new stuff that's in. Today I'll focus on just two of the interesting things that I use, and how I use it. So from the top here, you can click on new. That's going to drop down and literally ask you exactly what you want to create, whether you want to create an app, an automation, a card, a chatbot that will take you to Copilot Studio, dashboard, reports, Power BI stuff. You want to add a table, a lot more. All these things are available for you here. So let's go ahead and just do a Canvas app. All right. So like any claim you're asking here, I have the option to build something for a tablet or a phone. I'll just say demo UI app. That's how I want to call it. And I'll click on create. And this will go ahead and, technically scaffold and present all the stuff for me, right? So this is a blank application. I'm not building it based off of any data. I'm just doing blank because I want to show you how some of these things work. Now, this is what you should see now. Now, do you realize that there is up here the introduction of the Copilot even for Power Effects, right? So literally you can define or say what you want to do, and Copilot can help you, right? How do you call it? Copilot can help you achieve and do that. All right, awesome. So that's one thing, to note in there. All right, so take note of that. Then if you look also here, there's been some interesting arrangement of the things here. It's just, those are just aesthetics, but not really the cool part. Now, in the past, do I have one of the very old applications I built? Now, in the past, when we're building applications and we wanted to have some global variables, right? Global variables that allowed us to maybe store some information we want to have accessible, across all the screens. So these are like screens. This is where you organize the views of your pages. What we want them to be available across. We will most times go to the app and go to on start, right? We'll go to on start. Do we still have Power BI desktop? Yes. So we still have Power BI desktop. That's still functional, still connected to your same resource and environment. Nothing changes about that, and it's still free. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for that question though. Yeah, so we'll come to the on start, and then we come in here and then we put things there. So we probably will do something like set and I will say that let's say application name, and I will say this is we'll call this Power Series app. All right, so we do this, and once we've done this on App Start, I can go ahead. Let's do this. So I'll run app on start, and the reason why you do that is just to make sure that it's running. And then I can come in here, go to insert. Now take a look at, we'll come back to this, but let me finish with this. So let's say a text label, and then I put the text label here, and then I go ahead and say this text label, I want this text label to constantly show, how do you call it? To constantly show, let's say the app title. So I'll go ahead and say this is, and you can see application name. Yeah, there you go. So you see application name, you can see the Power Series. So this is what we did. Now, this was not efficient. Okay, this wasn't efficient. Imagine if you had a lot of things. It wasn't the best way to handle it. I mean, then it did the work, but remember, the more you kept piling it, at that point, we didn't have any other way to do it. And you can still do it now with just some minimal and simple things. It's still accessible. So if I create another, let's say if I add another blank screen here, and then again, even if I don't decide to, want to copy, and I'm doing something and I want to use it, which is not good. I'll talk about that in a bit. I can still come back here and still do what's happening? Okay, there you go. Yeah, so I can still do, oh no, sorry. I just have to do the text. Select this, and the text, I'll change this to, yeah, application name. And you can see the same thing is happening here. There's something I changed this. So let's just get rid of this, right? So this is what we will do. Well, this is what we did. All right. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Nothing crazy. But I want to now introduce you to the concept of what we call named formulas, right? So with that, what's going to happen is that now you have the ability, when your application is starting, you have the ability to literally predefine some of the things you use, like your colors, setting important things, even though now there's a concept of themes, which you will see very shortly. And by default, all the controls are mapped. So the first thing I want to talk about is some of the name formulas. So let's say you have some specific data or some information you repeatedly use within your application, right? You can use name formulas to do it instead of the global variables, right? So to do that, the same thing, you select the app, you come here, and then you do formulas, right? So here, and it's not just variables, right? Formulas are specific, so you can use it to generate formulas. Like, I want to determine if the person has access to view an icon or not, right? I can come here and create a formula for that, a name formula for that. Maybe call it is allowed or not, just hypothetically, right? Then once I do that, what's going to happen is that I can now use it anywhere in the application, right? So to do that is quite easy, even though a lot of the things are predefined for you. So here, to do it is quite very simple. So let's say I want to create a name formula called full name, right? Because by default, Microsoft exposes a few things to you. There's a question here, please. Can the app be made to make API requests as in a get post? Let's see. Please, can the app be made to make API requests, get, post, update, delete? Yes, it can do that. So you can use, that's where Power Automate comes in. So you can actually call Power Automate to do that, or you can do a normal HTTP request, from reading Power App by hitting the button. You can do that. I think I've done this before on one of my episodes. Yeah, that's what we say. Go subscribe. You saw, I think I did that for my IoT project, where I had a Power App that was physically controlling a light here and a fan here in my office. Yeah, and that's what I did. It was a combination of actions I did on the Power App that went out to call a Power Automate, which naturally was calling an HTTP endpoint in Power Automate. So yes, you can do that. I hope that answered your question. All right. Awesome. So I'm gonna do that. So here I'm gonna call this let's call this full name, right? So you do full name is equal to, and then you start to define it. So there's a default user, right? So I can say user dot, it's a default function. So well, there's even already the full name, right? So let me find something else. Okay, let's say what we want to do is we want to, your full name and let's say slash your email, right? Which is not there. So let's say, let me call this my profile, right? We'll call this my profile. So this will be username dot, let's say the full name, right? Your full name. And then actually let's do this. So we can do concatenate, concat. So we are concatenating. What are we concatenating? User.full name, comma, and then I will put a dash, and then I will do another user, a comma, and then I'll do another user dot email. All right. So now this is a named function called my profile. So this means that now anywhere in my application, if I want that my profile that shows my full name and my email hyphenated, I can easily just call this, from within. Now I'm using this as an example for just simple functions, right? Or simple formulas, so to speak. So now if I come to this, let me copy this here, copy and paste this. Let's delete this. And then now instead of text, instead of the application name, I can say my profile. Now check this out. You see it? So imagine now the importance of this is, now imagine that you have to be doing a formula, always concatenate full name, email, in your application, right? You can just do a name formula like this, and then anywhere you need it in application, you can do it. So that's the first thing I want to talk about it, which is the named formulas, right? Or name, I keep calling it functions, name formulas, right? So that's it. Now, if you look here into the controls or the component, right? There's a button in terms of input. So this is just default popular ones. If you look at the input, there is a button, the pen. These are just the standard stuff, AI stuff, charts. They're very standard things. However, there are some new components that you can leverage, all right? And to activate them, if you don't see it by default, if you don't see this, these components by default, click up here. If it's not showing directly on your, maybe because of your screen size or resolution, click up here and go to settings, right? So this is where you can update the app name, change the icon, change the colors, and do all that. And go to update, and you can see this option here. You see you have the option for what's new, what are in preview, what are experimental, and what has been retired, which is not going to be supported for a long period of time. Okay. Please, do you have a full series for Power Apps? Yes, I do have a link. Go check. I have a whole playlist for Power series. In there, you would find the playlist, that stuff I did for Power Apps. Now, so here, as you can see, erase, and let me use the rectangle. You realize that by default now this is off, so I don't get to see all the new stuff. So here, these updates were recently released, and they're enabled when you create a new app for existing apps. They are disabled. You can test first eventually, and then it'll be enabled. So to show you this, to just give you some perspective, if I go here and set and I pick a button, right? This is the button. This is the old style button. Actually, let me make this a little big so that we can see this. So this is the old default, the old style button. All right. Now, one thing I want you to look at now is the properties. So it has a text. It has a display mode, whether it's in edit, new, or disabled, or view. It has a position, it has a padding, the size. You come here, it just has the color, the border radius, the font weight, and technically that's just it, right? If I wanted to create, let's say, a component or button that had like an icon or image around it, we always had to, use some workaround, which will be to put an image and put a text, and then we'll put maybe a container around it or group it and then make it clickable, right? And a lot of the time, Microsoft people have been saying, look, we have to get Power Apps to give us some modding controls to do stuff. So they listened and they provided some modding controls. So now, let me even keep this here. So here, you see, for the button style, it's just a font. I can't technically do anything. I can't do a lot of stuff to it. So let's keep this here. Now I'm going to go back here to settings and then to update, and then I will enable the modding. I'll enable the modding controls and themes, right? So right here. So it gives you up the latest controls and themes as they are released. When enabled, the modding controls will appear on the modding tab of the insert pane. Modding themes will appear in the new themes pane, and classic themes will be removed from the toolbar. So yeah, these are some of the things. Now, this is not the only thing in there. You can go in there and look at some of the stuff. If you want to, if you want to try experimental stuff or preview stuff, you can go there. Co-authoring. So these are the things that are in preview, which I forgot to mention about. Forgive me. Now, gone are the days where only one person could work on a Power App at a time. But with a co-authoring feature, and I remember it's in preview, right? So if you enable co-authoring, what that happens is that it allows, what did he say? Yeah. Okay. So I'll save it. I'll save it in a bit. So it allows multiple people to work on the same Power App. So you can, be working on something, you can give comments and stuff, or you can author it. So that's it. And if you also want to do the experimental stuff as well, these are experimental. They could eventually be removed from it, or they could be added as preview. You don't know. So you use them at your own peril. We don't advise you use this for production stuff. So optimize embedded appearance, pass your error to Azure Application Insight so that you can see how application is faring, enable application insight correlation, web barcode scanner if you want to enable web barcode scanning from your app. So for instance, this I have done before. This I can vouch that it works. So you see this POS we have, this POS devices that we have. These are Android based that has a receipt printer. If you look at the back, there's some barcode scanner stuff there. These can run Power Apps. I have actually deployed the Power App on this before, and it functions very well. So if I want to enable its camera to scan QR codes and stuff like that, I could enable this and deploy the app and it will still be functional. So yes, I've actually seen Power Apps run on this. The only challenge with this was the printer. It didn't, I'm not sure this is done, but natively Power Apps does not support a browser printing. So for you to see the attached printer and do a print, it doesn't support. So we had to use a nifty way to do it. We had to build some host application on their thing. When you send a print, it calls the host application and the host. But then we're able to get Power Apps to run on a POS. So enable some people to build their own integrations on this. So that's very possible. And it's not just that. So you can also use some of these, how do you call it? So you could also have, if that looks a bit bulky, so there's another kind of like a POS device, but in a mobile form factor. This also runs Android, and you can easily, it's also has NFC and things at the back, so you can easily here as well. So you can easily run Power Apps on this and design apps on that as well. So just something to take note of. So Power App is not just it has a lot of functionality, right? So I'll go to the update. And retired is obviously things that are no longer being used, so be mindful. So let's close this. I'm going to save the application and come back. Like I said, don't forget, today is Ask Me Anything as well, so keep the questions coming. And then we can, I'll try to answer that as we get some of these things going. So it says that Can Power Apps run on iOS and other? Yes. Power Apps can run on iOS. I can show you this right now. At the last, how do you call it? We had a dynamic user group meeting. Reapply, and what happened was, so this, I'm going to show you something to the camera right now. Let me go to the main screen. I can show my but what you're seeing here is a Power App. What you're seeing right now on this screen, this is a Power App. Sorry, maybe I'll try to connect my phone and show you, but this is a Power App. It's a ticket verification platform. This is all built on Power. This is running on my iOS, and also it runs on the same devices I just showed you. So yes, it's very possible. Okay, so now let me go back and settings, go to update, preview. I want to enable co-authoring, and it would apply and reopen the application again because I'm reapplying things to it can verify. So I hope I answered that your question, right? So yeah, it can run on both. It has a native host application that runs it. So you just need to install the host application and all the apps you've deployed, provided you are given the permission and access to it, you can run it. You can actually run that as well. So awesome. Okay, so now because I have, enabled the co-authoring and the new stuff, you see that I'm having some pointers around telling me. So you notice that there has been some changes here. So there is a themes. So now natively, check this out. Take a look at the button. Let me actually zoom the button in. Now by default, all the buttons are now affected by the theme. So I can create my theme or pick this. So as Microsoft is adding or as third party, so you can design your theme. It's just a matter of color schemes. You can specify your primary, secondary. You can just do all that. And then you can upload it as a corporate theme so that when people are building, let's say, applications in your environment, you say, hey, use only the Mekoma theme or use the Power Series theme to theme all your applications. So it's just, as you can see, that's one of the cool things that you see happening here, because there are so you can see that that's the first thing you see out of the box. It's affected by the theme, right? Now, if we now select the button, now let's see, this is still going to be the old one. So I'm going to add the modding button. Now, if you go to insert, do you see what's happening now? You see there are classic, this is all your classic or old stuff. And by default, you should see that now if you go to input, you have everything here now is the new category of, controls. So now I'm going to bring in one of the new buttons, and we have the new button here. Oh no, hold on. I don't think I put the new one. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now take a look at this. Right? Look at the old one. This is the old button. And I want us to be particular about the properties here. So for the old button, if you look at the top right here, for the old button, you have only the text and the display mode as the key display stuff on the button, right? Now, if you go to the new one, which I can also make a little big, and that's because the theme applies to all of it. I can override it, but we'll just leave it this way. Now, if you look at the new one, there is a text, there is an icon, there is a layout, there's an accessible layer there. So there is a lot more information that you can put in there, right? So now if I want to, let's say I want to call this, so the button is submit application, right? And I want to add an icon to it. So away with the old, I can now click on icon, and then here, as you can see, there is a list of icons you can use right from here. Okay, It looks like I'm in the way, so let me hide myself. Don't worry, we'll go up. We'll just fix this now. So you can see there's icon for airplane, a lot of things. Known issue, which I know with time they're going to review, is that you cannot, as of today, you cannot add any other icon or image aside the ones that have been provided. You cannot add any other icon or attach for, apart from these ones that have been provided. So yeah, I know it's something that it's something that we are, the community is talking about. So we're very sure that with time, Microsoft will probably do stuff or even allow us to use SVGs or our own custom images to replace this. So that's the cool thing. I can now add an icon, and still the other stuff is that the cool thing is that I see the theme. I can now link it to the current theme or pick another stuff. You go to the the styling theme. As you can see, the type is a primary. Now the other thing about the batting is that they now created a few types of battings. So let me do this. I'm going to copy it a few times, and then we're just going to walk through the various types that they have enabled, and you can see how the idea of the modern battings is very forward looking. All right, so let's click the first one and let's look at here. Let's look at the type, right? So one thing you will notice is that all the battings in terms of their style and theme would have a type, right? And the icon style on the batting, right? So by default, this is the primary type. So the icon style can either be filled or outline. So if I'm using an icon that has, the way Font Awesome has filled and outline, you can choose any of that. But let's look at the button type. So this is the primary one. Now, this is your default button that has a solid color or whatever color you set to it. Nothing, nothing crazy, just a simplistic button. Now, let's look at the secondary one. So here, the secondary one primarily takes away the color, right? But then leaves an outline for you to see that. And this could be useful if you're trying to build an application and you don't want the buttons to have a fill, you can use this. Now, there's another one that is almost similar, but with a catch. So the third one here, the third button type here, we can look at is outline, right? Now, so someone will say, what's the difference between the outline and what's the difference between the secondary? So outline doesn't have a fill, right? By default, it's just a blank thing. So if I move this here and I move this here, so you see the difference. Now I deliberately moved it over the name. You realize that for the outline doesn't have any fill. So I can put it on top of anything and it still works. Now this is cool for us if we want to do some, I can remove the text and put it around an image, right? And that will serve and group them, and that will serve, that whole image will serve as a button for me. So this allows us to do that. Whereas the secondary one has a fill, it's not transparent, or it doesn't have any, it has a fill in it, unlike the outline, right? Then the fourth one, which is the subtle. Now, which is almost like, is almost like the, how do you call it? The outline, but just that it doesn't have any outline. So it's the same thing. This is a pre-designed template where they've taken the outline out and then it's just a text there. So if you are building some application and you want the buttons or clickable stuff to just be the text and not have any outline or stuff like that, you can easily just set that. And the final one, which is the transparent, is primarily like the transparent, which is almost like the outline, right? So and because it's transparent, it also doesn't have how do you call it? It doesn't have an outline as well. So yeah, it could be naming, it could be preference, but I would probably say, hey, I would go for being able to add how do you call it? Being able to add custom icons than anything, right? Now the other cool thing about the icons is that, oh wow, we've done an hour. That's interesting. yeah, it really gets time really runs fast when you're enjoying yourself. So, but hey, let's do this. One of the cool things is the where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Icon rotation. Yes, that's what I was looking for. It's right in front of me. This, right? Icon rotation. Now, this allows you to do cool things by rotating the icon, right? So, and someone will say, but what is this icon rotation? So, assuming you are building a menu item, and then when the menu opens, you want the icon to turn some way. Yeah, you will do some tricks to it. But a simple thing or use case is, let's say I'm submitting an application and I want this the icon to roll when I'm doing or submitting the application, right? I can now, thanks to the new button, I can do that. So to do it, you can set the rotation value. Now take a look at this closely. Let me zoom this in here. So, and if you see that if I do, let's say 20, you see that if I do 30, you see the arrow, the icon is moving. If I do 69, you see that it's moving, right? So that's one thing. But a cool thing you can do, which is what I'm going to do to end the show today, is I'm going to go ahead and I'll put a timer. Where's the timer? If you don't know what the timer is, so the timer is a cool, it's one of the cool components in Power Apps specifically that allows you to add some kind of like timing to your applications. So this, when you start it, so I can go in here, duration is 6,000, auto start is repeat, auto start is on, I'll put up all these things on. Now when I run this, now this timer is just going to start running. Okay, so I don't know if you realize that the timer is running, right? Now let's stop this. So what I want to do now is say that, hey, I want to set, let's zoom this. I want the rotation of my icon to be set to the timer's value. So as the timer's value is changing, that thing is running. So what I can do is I can select this, and then on the icon rotation, click it. Now, there's a simple trick. I want you to look at this. You know that setting some of these properties for any Power App component, you need to look at it from the top here. So most times you go and you click the drop down, right? And then you select the property you want and you change it here. However, a simple trick for you to do is any property at all you want to change, just click on it and it will automatically show up there for you to add any formula to it. All right. So icon rotation, instead of manually putting it there, what's the name of this timer? So let's select this timer and let's call it my timer. Okay. So I'll say that the icon rotation for this will be picked from my timer dot the value of my timer. All right. And that's it. And then what I'll do is that I will set the visibility of this timer to off. And now when I run the application, check this out. Look at the button. You can see that the button is running, is moving, is moving fast, right? If I feel it's moving too fast, another thing you can do is that you can say, hey, this is timer divided by 3, the value of the timer, the value of the timer divided by 3, and that's still valid. Now when you run the application, you see that it's not moving as fast as it was moving before, right? So that is how to use a timer and to leverage or work with the icon position on the new Power Apps button. So it's 5 minutes past the hour. We'll take a last question, and this is where I'll end today's show. I'm trying to be respectful of the time. What do you think about the new component, especially with we just talked about, the button and the new features, some of the features. Let me know in the comment section if there's something specific you want to see me do. Don't hesitate to let me know, and then I'll try as much as possible to do a session, one episode talking about that. LinkedIn says, what are the limitations you have detected with Power Apps? Limitations. Well, a few, but that's because I was trying to do something very complex, and natively from within Power Apps, it was a bit difficult to execute that. Notwithstanding, there are a lot of workarounds in achieving, some of these things. But one thing we need to understand is that Power Platform is a no-code, low-code platform that allows you to build applications rapidly, right? So rapid application, simple to use enterprise application. So once you start moving away to native features, like I want to be able to leverage the GPS on the, you can do GPS though, you can do on, it can read that. There's some native system supports that Power Apps does, but anything that it doesn't support natively and you are using that in your application, then you have to consider native application development or cross application development. Apart from that, I haven't had any serious, restrictions or limitations. The only thing is just a confusion that a lot of people have that. So can I use Power Apps to build a mobile app and put it in the App Store? No, right? That's a misconception. A Power App is not something that you would want to use and deploy for your public facing customers, right? That's in everybody using it. Yes, you can deploy a Power App tablet on, let's say, an iPad, and put it somewhere for your customers, maybe in your office or your workplace or your business, for customers to interact with it, right? Within the context of your organization. But it's not something that you say that, oh, I want to deploy it onto the Play Store and have all like 1 million customers of mine download and use. No, it's more about within an enterprise set of system. You have internal systems that you want to expose to your employees because you have a finite number of employees. You use Power Apps. So those are just it's not a limitation. It's probably like a misconception on the use of Power on the Power Apps. So apart from that, mostly there's always like a workaround, a way to deal with some of these systems or solutions that you're building. I hope that's answered your question. So yeah, the conversation doesn't stop here. You can connect with me on any of my social media platforms. You could connect to, you can join the Power Platform, how do you call it? WhatsApp user group. The link is up there. You can join that. If you have any questions, you can, ping me or message me on any of these things, any of my social media channels, and I will do as much as possible to answer. Elikli says that also, so for all the IoT mobile apps I may build, I'm free to use. Yeah, you're free to use Power Apps. You can use that. It's your own application or something that I'll use internally, or you can even use it to build a control dashboard in the house, in the office, for people to control your IoT devices. Yes, that's internal. You can build that. Use to do that. You're welcome, Elikli. So yeah, thank you very much. I will still ask that you like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification button. And thank you so much for sharing today with us. I still remain yours truly, Samuel Adranyi. If you have any questions, any concerns, do well to reach out to me. With that said, going to the week with positivity, positive vibe, positive energy. Let's make the world a better place through technology. I will catch you again on Tuesday for IoT Tuesday. With that said, I am out.